Good morning, it's Graham from Unearthed, and today we're having a detailed look at some of the Roman coins that you can find in the UK soil. As you can see, I've got a selection of Roman coins, not all my Roman coins of course, but a selection of Roman coins that I have found over the years, and hopefully this will go some way into giving you guys that are new to the hobby, not the experienced ones because you guys will probably already know this, but certainly the guys that are coming into the hobby, a little detailed look at what you can find out in the field. So for example, if you look up the top here, you can see some really big Roman coins. Now these are usually the older ones, the much earlier Roman coins of the empire. So if you look at this huge sestertius, I think that looks to me very much like, and if I can remember rightly, Nero. Now this was found in a watery area where we think there's been votive offerings thrown, and it came up in pretty poor condition, as you can see. However, it isn't that bad once I got all the rubbish off. You can see quite clearly there. Now this is a really big coin, much bigger than most of the Roman coins you'll find. The interesting thing about this is, for you guys that don't know this, 4 of these coins, so 4 of these equaled 1 of them. So it was 4 sesterces to 1 denarii. Now the denarii was the day's pay for the Roman soldier, and I think that's why we probably find so many up here in Cumbria. Denarius are not common on the ground, but if you're in a Roman area where there's Roman bits and pieces come up, chances are you will find the denarius, and of course the sesterces. So that's a little bit of info for you guys that didn't already know that. Here's where it gets interesting. So it's 4 sesterces to 1 denarii. Now, years and years ago, I was lucky enough to find a gold Horus, Vespasian. Sadly, I've no longer got it because I had to split it, the value of it, with a landowner, so I had to sell it. I couldn't afford to pay the landowner out at the time, which was really sad, but you know, that's the way it is. There's a reverse of it with a cow on the back, or some sort of beast. So there it is. Now, the Horus, for one of them, the equivalent is 25 denarius to 1 gold Horus. Amazing. So we think these weren't probably in circulation that often. They might have been, you know, the officers, Roman officers pushing north may have had these for bullion payments and things. I don't think they were used in everyday transactions. However, this one is actually showing signs of wear, so chances are it could have been through a few hands before it got lost. So quite a tantalizing piece of history there with that coin. I have found one other Roman gold coin, and that was a solidus made into a Saxon gold pendant, but that's my first and only gold Horus. So keep my fingers crossed that another one might come up, but you know, that was many moons ago, so I'm not holding much hope out. With regards to the other Roman coins, you'll see this particular size coming up frequently. It's not a sestertius, it's actually classed as, or we class it as, an ASSES ass. Now it's actually 10 of these to 1 denarius, and I think it's 4 of these, yes I'm right, 4 of them, so it's 4 of the ass, I think that's how you pronounce it, that's how I pronounce it anyway, 4 of these to the sesterce to make up the payment. So yeah, interesting stuff. It just gives you an idea, and of course the later on in the Roman period the coins got smaller and smaller. For example, you can see this one here much later in the Roman era. That's Crispus, I think, the emperor, if I remember rightly. Much smaller. Obviously the buying power wasn't the same as the bigger earlier coins, but it gives you some idea of how the Romans shrunk the coins down over the years. So for example, this is probably worth mentioning and showing. If I take this particular example of Faustina, one of the Roman empresses, if I can show you that, that's really good quality silver. You know you've got a piece of history when you're pulling up these things. Really good nick. However, later on in the Roman period, we find, let me just choose one, the silver content became less and less. So you can see bronze or a copper core leaching out of this particular example. So the silver content of the denarii over the years became less and less. I may have a better example to show you actually. Yeah, Severus Alexander, I think. We find these quite often. As you can see, it's certainly a denarius, but on his face there's copper or a bronze leaching out of there to show the content isn't pure silver like the earlier Roman silver coins. So silver became scarce, more of a commodity, a valuable commodity over the years, and they debased them down quite significantly in later years. Now, one thing that is interesting about these Roman coins that you can study, this particular example here, I found this last year, and it was black, completely black. As you can see, there's nicks in there. It's a pretty rough and ready coin. However, underneath all the blackness became apparent to me at the time that it was a rather pretty and desirable Roman coin, and it's of the Empress Crispina, the only one I've ever found. But she was in terrible condition, and it took me painstakingly hours and hours to get the crud off. It's gently picking it with a wooden toothpick was getting some of it off. I ended up having to use the bicarbonate soda trick to see if I could remove some of the crud, which it helped. She's still not perfect, but she's a heck of a lot better than when I first found her. So rule of thumb with these coins, you will find them time to time thinking they're actually bronze, thinking of the small bronze type of coins like we showed you earlier. Underneath all the crud, sometimes you could be lucky and it can be a denarius. So do your homework on it, guys. Obviously the weight of it is quite a bit more than the bronze, these earlier ones in particular. But give them a chance, go through your collection, check on them, check if you haven't got any hidden denarius in there. So that's one thing to look at. Now my oldest Roman coin is this particular example. It's not very good condition. It's a Republican. You can see the head there. I don't know if it's a head of Apollo or what, but on the back it's got a chariot with horses, as you can see. I think this dates to about 152 BC. So it's a real early one. This would have come over with the legions, I guess. And it's been through many hands due to its wear and tear. So that gives you an example even earlier in the Celtic coins. You know, even earlier in some of the Celtic coins we find, this is, you know, the earliest example I found of a Roman denarius. Really good silver, but unfortunately most of them are quite worn, but nonetheless still lovely to find. And then, of course, here's another example of a BC denarius, Republican, a little bit later. I'm not going to go to exact dates, but I think around about 100 BC, 80 BC. Quite good condition. The back's got some stylized beast on it. It looks like a heron or something, or a bird of some description. I did know, but my memory banks are pretty much empty now, so I forgot. Well, that's an example of what you can find. Really good silver. And these are found on ploughed land and pasture, mixture up of Cumbria and some of the southern counties, and they all come up in pretty good condition. However, like I said earlier, you can get some that have got a lot of black crud on them. This example here is still in need of urgent cleaning. I've got most of the blackness off her, but she's still in pretty poor condition with regards to the blackness, hiding most of the detail under there. So I'm going to have another go at that probably over the Christmas period when I get a bit of time. This particular example pleased me because when I found it, I actually thought it was Germanicus. As you can see there, you can actually read the word Germanicus around the top, but it isn't. It's actually Vitalis, stuck under the name Germanicus. Still a very desirable denarius. That again was black. That took some work to get to the condition it's in. But nonetheless, I was very pleased with that one. That was found about 4 or 5 years ago now. One in particular was of interest to me. Let me have a look. This Nero, the Emperor Nero. Now this actually came up in that condition. Didn't need any cleaning. Absolutely bright silver. It's showing signs of wear because it's been through hands in the past, but what a lovely coin. The Emperor Nero. So some of them can come up in pristine. You know, that was almost, you know, I've done nothing to that. Wash under the tap, that's all. Came up really bright and really bright silver. Really enjoyed finding that one. So that gives you an example what you can find Roman coin-wise. However, some of them, as you can see, are in pretty dire condition. That one's been chopped by the plough. it would have been a really nice coin. You can just see the Emperor's beard and his part of his face, but the top end's missing. And some are even worse. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this. It's actually got a guy that looks like an archer on the back standing with his bow. That's actually a Republican denarius, or what remains of it. This has been found in Cumbria on pasture, where there's a lot of cattle, fertiliser added to the ground, and it takes its toll on the silver coins. However, as you can see, just the core left. What a shame. It is an early coin, but very, very little left of it. So, you know, these modern farming techniques sometimes can take the toll on the best of coins, sadly. And we've had 3 or 4 coins off that particular field that have been just the same, all rotted down to little bits. A real shame. And of course, before they disappear, you can get some denarius, really odd shaped ones. I mean, this is almost like an egg shaped one. You know, slightly struck differently. You can see the Emperor's face, but if I turn it like that, it's almost like an egg shape. So yeah, they all come up in weird and wonderful sizes and shapes. That's what makes them stand out, I guess, to a lot of other coins. I really love me Roman bits and pieces. I found many of them over the years. The farmers had quite a lot of denarius off us over the years. But I haven't found many of him. I've only ever found 3. And if I can get me hand ready, this is me only 3 Hadrian. That was my first ever denarius. Worn, but very welcome. That was my first ever silver Roman coin. I added this one a little bit later, and then a couple of years ago that one came up in Cumbria. So 3 Hadrian denarius out of all. I think I've had about 110 now, and I've only had 3 Hadrian, so I've got some way to go to make up on that collection. But it gives you some idea of what you can find. They come up anywhere. Most Roman towns, most Roman areas, especially in Cumbria, they do come up on fields from time to time. I could have a look at that one. That's another rather nice example. A Vitalis again, which is a really nice coin. That was in Lincolnshire, of all places, that came up. And I'm just going to see if I've got... this one, unfortunately, is broken, but it's actually Tiberius, which was mentioned in the Bible. It's the tribute penny mentioned in the Bible of Tiberius. You can see on the back someone seated. But of course, our friend the plough has took sizable chunks out of that coin. So that's not in the best of condition. Tiberius again. That's a better example of the tribute penny, I think. And of course, you know, the list goes on. Geta, Caracalla, Trajan, many Faustina coins. You know, some of them ones that came up in Cumbria early on, really good condition. Trajan himself. So it gives you an idea, guys, that you can actually find these. You know, keep plugging away. If you're feeling frustrated that you're not finding many Roman coins, keep plugging away. They will come up. On ploughed land, they can come up in amongst the hammered coins much later, from a much later period. They can just turn up anywhere. So best of luck, guys. If you're out this weekend detecting, good luck. Keep plugging away, because these Roman coins will come up to your detector at some point. Many thanks for watching.